Our conversations continue today on the show with amazing actors, storytellers, comedians, musicians. I'm excited. Our guest today is so much fun, Paula Andrea Placido. Currently can be seen on Sugar with some killer scenes with, I mean, good grief, Apples Never Fall, Shameless, Hacks. I mean, the list goes on. A hardworking actor getting it done in the game. Thank you so much for your time. It's great to meet you and chat with you today about your awesome career. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Brett. That's really sweet. That just made me like, feel good.
Yeah, it's true. So I want to ask you because a lot of people say that when they are in this, crazy business that you're in, and a lot feel like they're just working away trying to get it done and make a living. But then I do these intros, which I really do mean sincerely, and then they go, "Man, I have done a lot of work. Like you know, you've earned this position. So, how does it feel to be at this stage of the game and to just, from my perspective at least, um, be consistently working in LA and Hollywood and having a career that gets it done, basically?"
Yeah, it is pretty surreal actually, because when I look at it and I see how much work I've actually done, I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard to get a job, to land a role, and then it's even harder to stay in it and be consistently working. It's incredibly hard. Um, but it is really nice to like look and see all the stuff that I've done, and be really proud of the last 4 years. The last 4 years have been really incredible. And I, I I wanted to say lucky, but it's not luck. I feel blessed. That's what it is.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get what you're saying, though. I mean, it is a lottery type thing, but you have a lot of talented people. Uh, Hollywood is filled with that. I mean,
Yeah.
just walk down Hollywood Boulevard anytime, the Walk of Fame at any point in the day, and you'll see people out there hustling, filming, just bootlegging projects. But then you get these great opportunities. And I think that's where it comes in is getting the opportunities. But again, hard work has brought you there. Um, so I don't know if it
Definitely.
was me, I would be Googling myself, looking at all the things I've done and going,
Yeah.
I do deserve to be here, which you really do, because it is not easy. I think a lot of people come out to LA every year, every month, every day to try and make it, so to speak, um,
Yeah.
for years and don't ever see those opportunities. I'm interested to know, getting to know you a little bit better. I think people find it fascinating. Like, what was it that interested you in being an actor? Like, was it family? Was it friends? Was it a play, a teacher? Like, or was it just something that you were naturally interested in and drawn to at some point?
Um, I think it's just as a kid growing up watching movies, um, and being inspired and wanting to do the same. Um, yeah, I just started watching my dad. I remember the first movie he bought me was Star Wars, the trilogy on like VHS. And I just remember as a kid being so fascinated with this world. And um, as a kid, I always told my parents, "Can we move to LA? Can we go there?" And we grew up in Florida, and my mom was like, "That's so far. Like we don't know anything there." So I had that dream of coming to LA because I knew that this is where movies happen. And I did other things, like I went to art school, and I got into acting that way. And as soon as I turned 18, I was like, I'm gonna go follow that dream. And it's crazy to look back on it and be like, that one moment of where I wanted to do this and I actually came out and did it and stayed. I think about that a lot, actually, what you were just saying, how like every day people are flying in to LA to do this thing. And at the same time, every day people are leaving LA because they're done trying to do this
Yeah,
thing.
right. You know,
Um,
it's crazy to think about the numbers, honestly. And like, this maybe they're going out to get their start when the strike hits. They're like, this was a bad idea. Or even like a pandemic, which lasted much longer. Um, it's insane. I would be curious to know, not to focus too much on the negative, but what the percentage is of people, uh, amazing people like yourself that go out there and just want to do it, and become just to even get a small part somewhere on something. It
yeah,
fascinates me.
yeah. I'm sure the numbers are very, very, very low.
Do you
Um,
come across people at all in your travels as an actor, working on things who you yourself are seasoned and experienced, and then you meet somebody, it's like their first day on something, and do they ever solicit you for advice at all when or maybe recognize you when you're out and about doing things and go, "Hey, I have a question." Does that ever happen at all?
um, I don't know. I'm not recalling anything at the current moment, but I mean, I have friends, all of my friends are actors, so we're
Okay,
all in
so
very
you're in
different
those circles.
stages. Yeah, we're all in very different stages in our career. And, when I see a friend that's struggling, I try to give some advice, and and try to help people navigate through that. I think I think that yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, there's just yeah, I don't even know how to answer that question.
Oh, I think that's a
Uh,
very honest way to be. I mean, I think for yourself, you're in this to a point where most of the people you hang out with are actors, right? I mean, you're probably maybe even going up for similar parts or the same parts, maybe at
oh
some
yeah,
point.
yeah, definitely.
That's got to be fun.
I
Um,
think the best advice I can ever give is like to, you know, it is a marathon and you have to literally just stay and weather whatever the storm is and know that it'll pass. And if you stay, an opportunity will come. You just have to be
yeah.
patient. It took me 10 years to like get shameless. So, many people give up after 10 years, but I was like, all right, well, 10th year is here. And, slowly work started coming, one thing after the other. And I just think it's about staying here and staying in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're one of many actors we've had the pleasure and honor of chatting with who have been part of that shameless world in one way, shape, or form, which is almost like at the time was like a rite of passage for an actor to make it and get on that show. Talk about that experience. We'll get into Apple's Never Fall for sure, because that's current for you. But let's talk about just those moments that you found out you booked that part 10 years in and you got to come in and be a part of like a very well-oiled machine that was in
Yeah.
the height of its popularity.
Yeah. I remember when I got the audition, I seeing the text shameless pop up in my
Like,
email. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, yeah, it felt so cool because I think everything that I've ever had been auditioning for up until then was like, like really indie projects, like short films, like commercials, nothing with a big giant brand like that. So when I got that, I was like, holy smokes, okay. Um, and I got the sides. I read them and I was like, wait a second, I know who this is. Like I am this person. Um, it literally just felt like a little blessing pop into my email because it was like serendipitous. I I sent off the tape and it was the first time that I watched an audition that I didn't cringe, where I was just like, oh, actually this is interesting. Like I believe me. And I think if I can convince myself that I was good in that, then I actually really like it. Because most of the stuff I'm always like, no, that's not, you know. Um, but I got to I got when I got the phone call that I got it, it was like during the pandemic. So, um there was so much testing and social distancing that you have to
Yeah.
do. So it was strange to actually be on set for the first time in a big production during the pandemic. I low key kind of always felt like I got robbed a little bit of certain experiences. But yeah,
Yeah.
I got on set and I remember being like, don't let them know this is the first one. Don't let them know. Be a pro. Um, but they were great. That man, I'm so glad that I got to do that show. That is an amazing show, and to be on air for 11 seasons, that's insane. It's unheard. Like you can't do that now. I don't see anything ever lasting that long now.
No, I mean,
So
I think Big Bang Theory was probably the most recent to make it that far. Um, well, we have a great project now. Apples Never Fall on Peacock. You played Gina Solis, the fiance to Brooke Delaney, played by Essie Randles. Ooh, this is an intense show, but very good. Let's talk about that experience for you. And if people have not watched it to this point, you should, because it's really good. I binged all of it like immediately because it's just one of those things where you keep watching and you don't want it to stop because it's that good.
that's awesome. Thank you. Um, I that was like such a blessing to get to do that show. There's so many things that I thought were so interesting going into it. One, we were shooting in Australia. I never in my life thought that I was going to make it to that part of the world. Uh, that was very exciting. Australia is beautiful. Oh my God. Like, I wish it was closer because I would be there right now. Um,
That would be nice.
dude, yeah, it was like a 17-hour journey to get down there. It's you forget how big the ocean is. Um, and then also seeing that Annette Bening was leading and Sam Neill, I was just overwhelmed because she was one of my favorite actresses growing up. The Kids Are All Right is one of my favorite movies. I can watch that all the time. And being able to actually like meet and work with someone that I grew up watching is a very like pinch me moment. Um, yeah, that was one of the biggest productions I've ever done. It was such an amazing experience as an actor, and then also being able to be out there for 4 months and sit with the character and just watch it. I honestly I it came out so fast too. Normally you do a project and it takes like couple years for it to come out. So to see this come out like 6 months after we wrapped, I was like, wow. Um, the coolest experience, coolest people. I met so many cool people working on that, and yeah, I'm a big fan of Jake Lacey. I think he's like such a talented actor, and Allison Brie, and then uh, Janine, who plays the detective. Oh my God, she's such a phenomenal actor. Um, I yeah, I feel really lucky to have been working on that project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you've done some really cool things. As I mentioned, you have popped up in Hacks, of course, The Resident. I mean, just a lot of course, the L Word Generation Q, which was big as well. So I like to ask actors in particular, like you get to play these characters. Maybe it's for an episode, maybe it's an arc. Uh, which is a big deal to do these things. And then you complete a project. And as you just said, sometimes it comes out a year or two later. Maybe it's a run and gun production where you're filming and then like next week the episode drops. Um, you've played some interesting and intrinsic type characters. When you complete a character, is there ever one that you've thought about that you maybe would consider or wished that you could go back and tell a little bit more story with? Or perhaps maybe you do the project and then it's a wrap and you feel satisfied with how things were done and the exposure that your character got and the amount of story that they were given?
I think I think for the most part, I feel pretty good about everything. The L word, I kind of wish that I got to explore that a bit more. That was a really cool experience, and also a show that I grew up watching. Um, so I was kind of sad when that one ended, and I was hoping to be able to work on that a bit more. But if anyone's like, I had so much fun working on that show, and I think it was pretty perfect, like in a ribbon, like just,
Yeah.
and it wrapped up perfectly for me. But if I were to get a call and be like, hey, do you want to like play with that character again, I would absolutely, because I just think I think the writers and the showrunners, they're geniuses. Like they are so brilliant and witty and just genuinely talented. Like just that I would do anything that they ever write. They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that show is a good show, and as a comic, it's like it's interesting to see those types of stories told. Well, storytelling is what you do. You're an actor, of course. You get in there, you get it done, but you get to tell these wonderful stories in different levels, different parts of your life, um, which is very cool. So, summer's here. Are you in LA right now, or are you somewhere else in particular? Do you get to enjoy your summer at least for a little bit, or are you
Uh,
always cooking things?
it's I'm in LA. I love it here. I'm gonna be here for a bit. I don't know what I'm doing this summer. I have no idea. I'm always kind of that's the thing with acting because it's like you don't know if you're gonna be working. So I do have some downtime right now, but I might go off to South America. I might do
Nice.
a Colombia, Buenos Aires situation, see family. So yeah, but
That's
yeah, I don't
very
know. We'll
cool.
see.
Well,
Um,
one last question. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to enjoy yourself, but yeah, you're in a job where you could get an email after we're done here and they're like, we need you to
yeah,
send in a self tape today for whatever. So you have to be ready for that as well, I guess. But
yeah,
you could do it if you had to travel. I don't know. Probably easier to do it while you're still at home base. Yeah. And kind of be in your zone versus trying to figure it
yeah.
out while you're halfway across the world.
Yeah. Imagine trying to send a self tape from like the plane cabin or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it's funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday and she was saying she was like in somewhere England, South England, and she had to send an audition in for the Netflix show Atlas. And she's like, trying to figure out how to get it all together, and get it across the country
oh,
in
I
a
have a
very
friend who did it in an airport bathroom.
really, oh wow. See,
That's
that's how
crazy.
it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah, that's wild.
Very cool. Well, one last question. Now you've experienced the success. We've seen you on all these different things. What does family think now that you're in LA? You're doing it. You've made it to Hollywood, so to speak, and they can turn the TV on and see you on any one of these given shows. Particularly either Sugar, which I'm sure was a great experience, Apples
Yeah.
Never Fall, any of these projects.
Family's proud, and it's really nice because for a long time you're not working, and then it's a lot of like, was it worth it? Should you have done this? You could still come back home. So now it's nice to not get those phone calls anymore of like, you made a mistake, come back home. It's like, oh, you actually you were right. I'm really proud of you. And every time like my mom gets a phone call that some childhood friend calls her that they're watching me on TV, she gets really emotional and she calls me. So it's really nice. Yeah.
That's very cool. Awesome. Congratulations on all of your success. If you haven't seen any of these wonderful shows, Sugar, which you have a great part there too, with Colin Farrell, and then Apples Never Fall, Shameless, The Resident, Hacks, all these things. Enjoy your summer, and we'll get you back soon, hopefully, on the next big thing. But thank you for your time, and congratulations on all your success. This has been a lot of fun. Again, I've been watching. I just did a rewatch of Shameless, I don't know, a few months ago, and your scenes and episodes, those are always the fun ones to watch because it's this kind of cat and mouse kind of thing going on, which you played to that really well. It was a lot of fun. So, uh, awesome stuff for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brett. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.